I've had this Toyota Hilux for a year now and put 20,000 kilometers on it. So I wanted to show you what bothers me a little and what its weak spots are. Things I didn't notice when I bought it, but that have shown up over time as I've been driving it. Let's take a look. AdBlue. On the Hilux, this is the Japanese engineer's revenge on those of us who have to refill AdBlue. For some reason I just can't understand. They designed it to be right in the middle of the engine bay. So whenever you're at the gas station with the AdBlue hose, there's a very high chance you're going to splash it all over the engine bay. Or you have to be extra, super careful to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, I've been careful many times, but one day the AdBlue nozzle just didn't shut off. And since it didn't shut off, it started spraying everywhere, and it gave my entire engine bay a nice coating before I could jump on it and turn it off. So then I had to give the engine bay a good wash with water to get all the corrosive AdBlue components off so the car wouldn't rust. Why is it like this? I mean, at the back, by the fuel tank, there's this perfect space where the AdBlue filler neck could have gone. You could refill it safely there without the risk of splashing the car. Oh well, and then there's another strange issue. Has your Hilux ever sloshed? Mine has. I found out online that a lot of people's Hiluxes slosh. It's because there are these weird plugs at the bottom of the doors. These things. 1, 2, 3. I don't know exactly what they do. When it rains heavily, water runs down into the doors through these gaps, but it drains out the other side very slowly, and the moment a bit of dirt gets in there, it just stops draining completely. It's just, The solution is to take these little plugs out. You just pull on them, and they come right out. But I'd really love to know what the designers were thinking and what this plug is for. Maybe for fording, so when you drive through water, it doesn't get into the doors, and when it rains, it still manages to drip out anyway? I don't know. Well, I couldn't resist. I looked it up in the Toyota parts catalog and found out what this plug is. It's a dust-proof seal. So if you ever happen to tear one of these plugs off, here's the part number you'll need to order as a replacement. The next thing is the underbody protection. From the factory, it comes with the engine and transmission covered, and there's an additional plastic cover for the fuel tank. But a very weak spot on the Hilux is the sensors on the exhaust. There are 3 sensors right next to each other with cables leading to them, and they aren't covered at all. So the moment you drive through some brush and a branch gets dragged along the underbody, it could very easily tear those sensor wires, and the car will just stop. So at the moment, even if you don't plan on doing any brutal off-roading, I think this cover is one of the most important, and you should get it. If you look at my car here, you can see that I have it covered from the bottom, and this sheet metal on the right is covering it. Those exhaust probes, do you see them? As standard, there is no metal plate on the exhaust as it goes to the side. That's why I recommend it to you, even if you don't want to ride it on any brutal terrain. Buy the cover so that you have a clear conscience, and it can't happen to you that a line in this probe will tear somewhere. Another thing is the high beams. Standard dipped beam from Hilux. These are great, I'm very happy with them, but when you switch them to remote, so actually no change is happening. Fortunately, there is a fairly simple solution to this. Homologated headlights from laser lamps fit into the mask, they fit like a glove, and the problem is solved. Or the second alternative, a front-runner roof rack and a homologated LED bar for it. You can reach maximum performance again, everything is fine, but standard LED lights only work great as low beam and are really good as high beam. Not much. Another negative aspect of the Hilux is the standard towing capacity. If you look at any Hilux supplied by Toyota, it has a tow bar at the back, which could also be called a plow. It really is very low and is made in such a way that whenever you drive over a major bend in the terrain, you will be like a tractor pulling a plow behind you. And the solution is extremely simple. Take that tow bar and throw it away. You buy a tow bar from Arctic Truck, which is European homologated. There is a type certificate for it, so you can write it down in the vehicle's big technical manual as normal, and there is no problem with that. And at the same time, you no longer have any problems with ground clearance. I am very satisfied with this, and I can drive in relatively large terrain without digging into the ground like a mole with the towing device. Ergonomics behind the wheel. What annoys me the most is the location of this 4-4-4 and reduction gear switch. Because it's right next to my knee, it means that when I sit comfortably here, my knee hits exactly this piece of plastic. And that doesn't suit me very much. I would much rather have the wheel placed somewhere else and it be smooth here, just like it is smooth here on the passenger side. This place is just so incredibly uncomfortable, and I don't understand why. At first I thought it was because Toyota comes from Japan, where they have the steering wheel on the other side and that the little thing would stay on the passenger side. That's not the case. The wheel always moves behind the steering wheel, which means the driver always has it on his knee. The way it's coming out on my legs, it's just poking me in the knee. So I usually have to sit differently or move the seat further back. I assume that if I were to crash this car, there's a high chance my knee would hit this plastic directly and it would hurt like hell, maybe even injure me. This is something I really don't like about this car. What bothers me a bit is the quality of some of the plastics in the cabin. When I was choosing a car, I also went to look at one-year-old used models, and I found out that with a work vehicle, if you want it to look nice, you can't just buy it that way. Because the dashboard was typically scratched, the radio, and this plastic around the gear shifter. I solved the radio issue right after buying it by putting a screen protector on it. I'm very happy with that. There are no scratches. I don't have to be afraid to just wipe it with a cloth, and everything is fine. No complaints. What's sad and a shame is this plastic around the gear shifter. I've always tried to be very gentle with it, wiping it softly with a brush, or I'd first pick up the dust with a damp cloth and only then wipe it down. It's just scratched. No matter what I do, it's just gross. If you're picking out a used one and you see that this is scratched, it doesn't mean the owner was a slob. It just happens, and the plastic isn't very high quality and scratches very easily. Another thing that slightly irritates me is this interior air circulation button. When it's cold outside, everything is normal and the car behaves just as you'd expect. But the moment it gets warmer outside, which means about 25 degrees Celsius or more, when you start the car, the interior circulation turns on automatically, whether you want it to or not. The car doesn't remember the previous setting. It just always turns on interior circulation after you start it. And of course, sometimes I don't notice. So I'll be driving and suddenly, it's just gross in here. It's hard to breathe. And I notice the interior circulation is on. Why? I asked about it at Toyota if there's a way to turn it off, and they told me that all Toyotas are like this, that it's standard behavior from the manufacturer to climatize the interior space faster. I would prefer fresh air and slower cooling of the interior rather than the other way around. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it, so I always get annoyed and then I just humbly turn it off again as soon as I remember. Now, another thing is the button ergonomics. Here, under the radio, are buttons I can reach without moving at all. I also have two buttons here that, from my point of view, are completely useless, and in the past year I've never used them. Or rather, I tried them, I tested them out, but I don't use them. The hill descent assist and the start-stop deactivation button. And then there's this blank button here that can't be replaced with anything. And on the other side, conversely, there are several more buttons. And this is the view button. I would really love it if this were on the other side and not here. And why? Because the moment you stop and you have the automatic camera set here, whenever you slow down, stop at an intersection, the display automatically lights up and you can see the cameras for the front or rear camera. And when you have the front camera on like this, well, of course, at that moment you can't see the map, which is annoying. So I'd much prefer, instead of this automatic mode, to be able to turn it on and off with a button. The problem is, if you look at me, for me to press that button, I have to bend down like this, and I'm quite unsure where I'm fumbling, because the button is in the middle of other buttons, and that uncertainty is pretty significant. It's big. If that button were on the other side, it would be absolutely perfect. And if I had the hill descent assist there instead, I wouldn't mind at all. Considering I've used it only once, that would be fine. As I was talking about that useless start-stop button, Toyota has a power heat button, which is located here. And that button has two big advantages. When you press it, it stays pressed and will stay that way forever until you press it again. And the moment you have power heat activated, the car, so that you have a good temperature in the cabin, warm or cold, that's not important. It never turns off the engine. The engine always runs. And the second effect is that it warms up faster at idle, because it increases the idle RPM. Which also has the side effect that your battery charges faster. Another thing I don't understand why it's here are the Eco and Power buttons. I tried using them, of course. When I press power and try to drive with it, it doesn't add any horsepower. The car just reacts more nervously to the gas pedal and is kind of unpredictable. When I use Eco mode, on the other hand, nothing special happens either. Another thing that kind of ticks me off is Android Auto. If you want to have Android Auto, you have to take your phone, connect it with the cable here to this port. And the moment you connect it, you can no longer select audio on the display here. You can't use Bluetooth. It happens to us all the time that when I'm on a trip with the kids, I'm navigating with Android Auto, using Google Maps or Mappy.cz, it doesn't matter, just from my phone. And the kids want to play some songs. You can't do it. So I have to unplug this USB cable and then Bluetooth appears. And why? Why can't I use Bluetooth at the same time I'm using a USB cable so I can play songs from one phone and navigate with the other? That also annoys me. And then the car has power folding mirrors, electric. Great feature, you arrive, you fold the mirrors. But how do you do it? I usually arrive, turn off the engine, and then I remember that I want to fold the mirrors. Now the engine is off, I press the button to fold the mirrors, and nothing. Well, to be able to fold the mirrors, I have to start the car, and then my mirrors fold down. Then I have to press the start button twice to turn the car off again, and only then can I go home. Why can't it be folded even when the car is off? Just so I don't offend. There are things here that are great. Because if you look, there's one handrail here, another handrail, there's a third one behind me, and another one above the passengers. So 4 handles on each side. This was a big problem with the Wrangler, the JK, for example, where this handle wasn't standard, so you had to install it. And here was a textile that you couldn't hold on to. There are plenty of handles here, so it's very easy to get into the car, both on an incline and on a flat surface. This is ergonomically absolutely great. Another thing that is poorly thought out is the height of the body, because if you pull it normally, it just falls down hard into the curtain. The moment a little one opens the lid and pulls on the edge, they don't expect it, so it just falls on them and can hurt them unnecessarily. I bought this telescopic knife here, which will slow down the weight of the lid and no one will get hurt, even if you don't expect that weight. After editing, after adding the song, you open the lid and as if you were expecting it, it just slowly goes down and it simply doesn't hurt anyone or anything. For me, it's an adjustment that is necessary when the trunk lid is opened by someone other than the adult who expects it. Here you can see that I have the piston covered with a seal. Here's another seal, another and another. Because as standard, the way Toyota delivers these cars, there is no gasket. And the moment you put a hardtop on it, it just starts to get dusty inside. So if you don't want any extra dust to get inside, you need to make sure it's tight. This gasket you see here is not original either. It's a finished product and I put it there so it wouldn't blow into my trunk. Want to see the most retro thing on the Hilux? I'll show you. Here. Rear window heating. It's wired as if it were a Skoda 120. It's not very aesthetic, but it works. I've been talking a lot about that car, haven't I? Well, that's how it is. But I would still buy it again. For example, compared to the Jeep, its chassis is completely different. If you drive the Hilux fast on a bumpy road or dirt track, the car doesn't bounce anywhere. It behaves perfectly and simply goes where you point it with the steering wheel. For example, with the Jeep JK I had before, it was much, much worse. There, when you were driving fast on a flat road, you could feel the solid axles dancing here and there. The car was swaying from side to side, even though it was going straight. The Hilux, with its independent front axle, works perfectly in this regard. That's really great. The great thing about the Hilux is that there's a pretty large amount of accessories for it that are fully homologated. So you can mount them on the car and even get them registered. That's what's absolutely great about it, because the selection is really huge. You can even fit bigger wheels. The upper limit is 285/70/17. How to do that? Well, I'll show you sometime in a separate video, but it's not rocket science.